Well,
Good afternoon. This is the Employee Pension Committee regular meeting, Monday, December the 15th, about 2 p.m. And we'll call this meeting to order. We'll ask at this time for an approval of the agenda.
no, we do have a quorum, yes, sir, and you'll go ahead. The agenda was mailed out, so I need to do a roll call first.
Okay.
Feldhouse, I'm sorry.
All right, go right ahead.
Councilmember Feldhouse,
Here.
Councilmember Christie, Member Phillips, Member Holloman, Member Smith, that's me, I'm here, Member Parker. Here. And Member Swan. Here. We do have a quorum, 4 members are present, 3 are absent. Now, if we could get an approval of the agenda.
Okay. We got that roll call. We do have a quorum. Okay. Approval of the agenda, I think, is the next item.
And I've got a first from.
Okay.
I said.
Okay, good. All those in favor say aye. Okay. Public comments, Lisa, do we have any?
We do not.
Okay. All right, we'll move right on. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. I think I missed, I don't know if I missed that one or not.
Those were emailed out to you all this afternoon. Did you get a chance to look them over? Okay, thank you. I'll second, even though I wrote them.
All right.
I promise
All
you.
right.
They're perfect.
That works since you're in the committee, yeah. All right, all those in favor of the approval of the minutes? All right, any opposed? All right. All right, to review and discussion of third quarter 2025 report on investments, the defined benefits plan, it looks like, and the 401k. Now, Lisa, who handles that?
We're gonna ask, I don't know which one of you wanna go first, Greg, you or Josh?
What I would like to do is just kind of follow up on some of the conversations we had in the last committee meeting, the ad hoc benefit committee meeting, and Kyle's here today. And what I asked him to do was put together some hypothetical, just the numbers, because, you know, we have a situation where you have had an employee who has died before they were eligible for benefits, and that's a concern. And so we want to address that. And since Kyle's here and he's got a long way to go when he gets done here today, so if he wants to, he can do his thing and get out of here before he, beat the rush hour, which is becoming an increasingly hard thing to do around the Nashville area. We were just talking about. So,
is that okay with everyone?
So what I'd like to do is let him, and maybe even review a little bit of your current pension plan and how it works like we did last time, and give you guys just a thorough kind of review of exactly what you have right now.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and make note for the record that we did invite our employee pension, our benefits review committee to be here, and we do have several members of them in the audience. So if you want to go ahead, and we'll just let you take the floor, and then if they have questions, we'll take those, okay? From the audience as well as from the board members.
Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right ahead, please.
So I'm with USI Consulting Group, and I'm the plan's actuary, and I also handle the administration of the benefit calculations. Currently, as we've reviewed the death benefit provisions for the plan, there are 4 different situations in which different death benefits may be payable. And this was reviewed in the last meeting with the ad hoc committee, but I just want to take a look at this again. Is this the same presentation as last time, Greg?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you could take it to the 4th page. Oh, perfect. Thanks. Depending on the participant's age at death and their marital status, there can be different death provisions available. So if the participant dies after the age of 55 and they're married, their spouse would receive the 100% of the 100% joint survivor annuity payable immediately following the death. If a participant is not married and after the age of 55, then an elected beneficiary or an estate, it could even be possible, is paid 10 years of payments of the 120-month certain in life annuity.
Okay.
So this would be a temporary annuity, meaning the monthly annuity is paid for those 10 years, and that is payable, and after that, there are no further benefits paid. If a participant dies before the age of 55, their spouse would receive 50% of the 50% joint survivor annuity. And the one gap that was discussed at the last meeting was for unmarried participants under the age of 55. And that's the situation that we wanted to address now. An amendment can be made for the plan, retroactive till, before the, to the beginning of last plan year, even, to be able to cover this one gap in this situation. In looking at these different death benefits, this is a hypothetical option for the plan. The plan can choose to provide any death benefit that they would like under the terms of the plan. However, being consistent with the current provisions, because it's kind of a mix between unmarried after 55, because the participant was unmarried, as well as married and before age 55. So the benefit that I'm proposing as an option, as a hypothetical possibility, would be for a participant, their beneficiary, to receive the temporary annuity similar to unmarried participants. This would be 10 years certain payments payable, and following that, there are no further benefits paid. As well as it would be payable immediately. Now, that is a little bit different than for a participant that is married. Currently, for the 50% joint survivor annuity, that is payable when the participant would have reached earliest retirement age, which is age 55. So in this situation, with a spouse, you think, okay, they're going to be reaching that retirement age probably around the same time, and this benefit is provided as a retirement benefit. And so that makes sense in that situation. However, for an unmarried participant, it's more about being able to provide coverage for their beneficiaries outside of the spouse. So I would propose a benefit that is temporary annuity that is paid immediately upon election following the death of the participant. Did you have any numbers in your report for the illustration, or am I just speaking?
I did not.
Okay.
Not happy. These are hypotheticals, so
yes.
we're talking about. What was the question that came up last time? One of the things that we did mention, though, is because this is a very unique situation, you are setting a precedent. So, but the precedent is not likely to be. There's not likely to be any other, at least you didn't know of any other situations where you've got an unmarried individual that dies before age 55. So that scenario it apparently never happened before, so it's not likely that you're going to have any other situations like this. So you shouldn't have any other, so we're really just talking about addressing this one issue. Yeah.
It is unlikely to occur, but as Greg mentions, plans should be consistent, and this does set a precedent. So once it is set in the plan document, it should be administered consistently into the future. So talking through, and I'm going to say some numbers here, but just kind of give you an idea, and I'm happy to provide resources for you to kind of show this out. In this one situation that we're discussing, the accrued benefit was $1,184 approximately. And that is a monthly benefit that he could have received at age 65. So if we look at what does this proposed death benefit look like, using the plan's actuarial equivalents, which includes interest discounting because it's starting much earlier, as well as mortality discount, It would have an actual equivalence of about 0.33, which would result in a monthly benefit starting, I calculated that January 1st, 2026. So this next month at around $397 a month. So that would have the same value. And then if you convert that to a 10-year certain in life annuity, meaning for 10 years, these payments are guaranteed based on the participant's age, then that would be a $392 monthly benefit. So this $392 monthly benefit would be payable to the beneficiaries for 10 years certain only. Following the 10 years of payments, there are no further benefits. So that would look at around a little over $40,000 over the course of 10 years pay. But I would note another reason why this temporary annuity is generally seen with unmarried participant death benefits is because it can easily be split between multiple beneficiaries. So if it's a $400 benefit, it can be $200 to one beneficiary and $200 to another beneficiary. And whereas the joint survivor calculations, those are based on one beneficiary, and because it's calculated based on their date of birth and their age at the time of their commencement. So for unmarried participants, I would suggest a similar death benefit to the unmarried participant for over age 55. However, a little change from the before age 55, I would suggest that it could be started immediately following the date of death rather than waiting until age 55, because it's not a retirement benefit. It's a death benefit for the beneficiaries. Does anyone have any questions? I know there's a lot of numbers that I kind of tossed out there, and these plans and calculations can be complicated, so I'm happy to answer anything.
Questions?
Question?
How many children are there? I don't want any names or anything, but
Two.
two.
How does it matter what age the children are?
It does not. It would not be calculated based on their age because there's certain only payments. So we can say it's going to be 10 years of payments regardless.
But if they're a minor, do they have to have a trustee for the funds, or do we know what ages they are? Are they over 18?
No, one's very close to that, one's quite a bit under it.
Okay. Do they have to have a trustee?
I would need to research that.
Okay.
That's a good question.
Okay.
But they would receive it, like if they were 17, they'd get it for 10 years, even though they'll pass 18. So they'd still get it for 10 years.
It would be 10 years of
Not
payments.
till 18.
Yes. Well, in the situation, if you're saying they had to wait until age 18, then is that what you're asking? No.
I was just making sure that even if they were over 18, they would still get the
Yes.
death benefit,
They would, yeah, absolutely.
even if the children were over 18.
Yes.
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 Would they have to be listed as a beneficiary? How does that work?
Great question. Generally speaking, plans will define kind of a hierarchy. They're elected beneficiaries,
Right.
and then it would be, it could be spouse, it could be children, and it kind of lists that out. There are rules in place. If there is not an elected beneficiary or the plan does not specify it, I have heard of situations in which it has to go to an estate and then it gets sorted out from there. However, generally speaking, I would also suggest, as this death benefit is written, to have that spelled out.
Yeah.
And
Update that all the time, make sure it's updated, yes.
Yeah, it's almost like listing out a will,
Yeah.
but it would be from the plan's perspective of, hey, this is how it's going to be administered. And I can check to see if there is language in the plan document already for that, and if it's not, then generally our company's legal department has worked with Shelbyville to prepare the plan document as well as amendments. And so I would make sure to work with them to make sure that that was included, those details.
Do we know if there's a beneficiary card somewhere that has the beneficiaries listed, or? I mean, that would probably be.
Alicia may know that.
Might be
So
the
there-
question.
We did a project a couple months ago where we prepared a beneficiary form. This was following this situation. We wanted to make sure we had everyone's information up to date. And I know those were mailed out.
Well,
Is that correct?
I don't think they have been yet, but
Got it.
they're in the process.
I see. That makes sense. So, and those could be updated before they're mailed out if an amendment is made, yes. Because it currently spells out the death benefits in the plan as they are currently.
So if the board elected to make that amendment, it probably would not be approved until January, but you said we could retro.
Absolutely. Yes.
And how long would it take for something like that to get put into place so that they would start to receive the benefit? You have a general idea of that fairly quickly, or?
Very quickly. A plan, there are times when plans say, this is what we're going to do. We have a motion to put this amendment in place. Even if the amendment is not yet in place, we're going to go ahead and start administering it as such.
Okay,
And then we can get the amendment to say, this is
Right.
on the back end. Yes.
well, that's good news.
But the amendment should not take long. It's a fairly straightforward process.
And we have the beneficiary forms here that are already taken care of. Alicia takes care of that.
Well, we worked with him to get them kind of adjusted, and we're getting ready to mail them out. They have not been mailed out yet.
Okay.
Typically, people have, I think in the past, and I don't want to speak out of turn here, but when they decide, hey, I'm retiring, they go see Alicia and fill out all the
Right,
forms.
right.
And so that's when it's for sure, but we need to have a form before that in case someone
Absolutely.
does pass away.
Absolutely.
Or at least have it in the document, hey, it goes here first, here second, here third, and communicate that to everybody.
Okay.
And this particular person, I think, had worked for the city around 17 years and had been gone maybe 7, 8, or 9 years, just from what Alicia told me before the meeting.
Okay.
So he was not currently employed, but he'd been gone for a few years.
Right.
Okay.
Great.
Yeah, of course.
Questions for Kyle, boys and staff? Anyone?
Okay, so you don't, Lisa, you don't want to vote on that today, you're just gonna take that.
Well,
responsibility.
I'll let the board decide. Does anybody want to make a motion to make that amendment?
It sounds like we need to put our hierarchy in there as part of the policy change, as well as consider this amendment to make this payment. So I don't think today I'd be ready to make all that, but I would think by January.
Yeah.
If we can do this in the next couple of weeks, get the legal with our HR people and everybody, get the language together so we know what we have to vote on.
Absolutely.
Together, then we can take that and say, okay, this scenario that we might want to start active January 1st, we can do that then as a separate motion to pull it off.
Yes.
Does that sound like a motion that I'll make to bring us back at a special call meeting? Do we have a meeting in January anyway, or
Not at this committee, you know.
we want one before the council, when our council meeting in January is, we might want
It's the 8th.
Yeah,
It's really early.
It's really early. So,
Did you say he could start
to, how
administering it
quickly
before
it
we
takes
know
to
that?
get that language together for Kyle.
how quickly,
The legal people put that together pretty quick. I assume we need to.
Yeah, I would want to review and make sure and look at that plan document to see if there's already some type of structure there and if it needs to be tweaked from there, or if it's appropriate as is. It would be fairly quickly in terms of the amount of time it would take. However, we're just approaching holidays and maybe some time off around this time. So it could be into January before an actual amendment is placed. But I can take a look this week to see what is currently in the place, and I'll discuss with Kate and Alicia.
Yeah, I've got on my schedule, we got another employee benefits review committee on the 8th that morning.
We actually have an employee benefits review committee next Thursday,
Uh-huh.
but, and they could make the recommendation to the city council from that committee, but I think they kind of wanted the employee pension committee to bless it prior to that.
Yeah. Because the 8th will be our city council meeting in January.
Committees, so.
Did you say we have another meeting on the pension?
We have a pension committee meeting Thursday.
Benefits.
Yeah, benefits
Yeah.
review committee Thursday.
This Thursday.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
18th, yeah. So, I mean, that committee can make the recommend, because what it is a recommendation to the council.
Right.
This committee nor the benefits review committee, either one, would make that decision.
Right.
Would make the recommendation to the council. So, I mean, I don't think that it would,
I hate that Jan and Alicia and William are here,
I do too.
since they've been on the pension committee for years.
Yeah.
I was trying to squeeze it in between Christmas and New Year's, and that's a crazy week too, so.
You're talking about having another one of these kind of meetings before Christmas or New Year's. Well, we can do it on the day of this, study session, be about the only day, because I'm gonna be out of town.
Tuesday the 30th.
Yeah, so we could do it about 2 o'clock that day.
That's what we got.
That's it.
Everything else,
Because I'm
weekend.
actually driving back in that day from the mountains and won't be here till probably lunchtime.
Don't have any days.
The study session on the 30th.
Anyone do it that day, Kendra? Can you be here that day at 2 o'clock?
Yeah.
Jennifer? 2 o'clock on the 30th, or you gonna be off? No. What day is that? It's a Tuesday.
December 30th.
Here. I'm here. Okay.
Probably, yes.
I mean, I'll be here. Can't speak for Jan. Do you know Jan's schedule, Pat? I'm pretty sure.
We have got Bill Oakes, retirement.
Probably at 2 o'clock too.
Probably so.
Kyle, did you say you could start administering it that way before the change? Or not? I mean, we wouldn't do the payout, but
I would want
legal.
confirmation
Yeah.
from the city that
Right.
this is how it's going to be done. I would want some kind of documentation, but
Yeah.
you can administer a plan with intention of amending the plan
Yeah.
in the future, but as long as it's consistent.
Right.
But I would want formal communication from the city. Yes.
I don't think February's really that late.
Can we do it that Thursday, January 8th, at the exact same time, the benefits committee, the close committee,
Mhm.
meet jointly?
Right.
I mean, I can make that.
Same
work
after,
my way.
same Zoom trip.
I can make that work on my side. And then take it to the council that night for a vote, is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
So we can have a special called meeting in collaboration with the benefits review committee.
Thursday, January 8th, looks like 9:30 a.m., so it's on the schedule.
Which is what I've got, yeah. That good with you, Eric?
Okay, so that's what we'll do.
They give enough time, maybe.
Just gonna have just one issue on the agenda, would that be it?
And I mean, you all are always welcome to come, you know that, but
Yeah,
you're not
we could zoom in.
required to be here for that.
We could work with our legal and Alicia or whoever it is.
Yeah.
Getting the language that we need.
Yeah, I think getting that trustee question answered is, because we'll need to put that language in there for, for beneficiaries that are under age 18. Getting that question answered.
Guess I had just one question then, if that's the route we're going. Because we pay out a benefit now, this is probably more of a Josh question, because he's always got trying to find one. Basically, we've been tracking this to pay in our actuarial tables anyway, funded. So it's already really a funded item within our plan already. It's not gonna cause us to have to come up with any more money to put in the plan, really is.
It's a great question. Yeah,
I'll take the stage.
so every year people retire, maybe not when we expect, right? And so with that, there are certain gains and losses seen along the way. Yes, this benefit was assumed to be paid into the future. Probably the assumption in the plan as we do the valuation is it is assumed to start at age 65. It is not, so it may be a timing difference, but it will not be a loss to the plan, and it won't create a funding issue in any way, shape, or form from a liability side.
Okay, that's the answer I wanted to get.
Good answer, Kyle.
That one.
So just to be clear with everything, you're going to find out the answer about the trustee,
Yes.
and then you're gonna work on the paperwork to
Yes.
make the amendment that you suggested. And then you'll get that back to us so that we can have it before the January 8th meeting. And I actually really would need it the week before so that I can send it out for everybody to have time to review it,
Okay,
okay?
I will, yes.
Or, like, that's not a Thursday, so if you can get it to me by Monday, that'd be good. The first Monday in,
January 5th,
okay?
yes.
Thank you. Okay, great.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kyle. Okay, if we could get, the DB plan review, same numbers we went over with on December 4th. Ad hoc committee,
That's
quarterly, yeah, the quarterly, yes.
the Artistas.
Artistas, yes, quarterly Artistas.
Anything on that flash?
That,
It's ones that, he sent me this morning.
it was a PDF, it's a PDF.
Yeah,
I
that,
have two PDFs this morning, which one?
this is, let me look at my email.
DB, it should say DB quarterly review. Or Shelbyville, it should, city of Shelbyville, or EBRC, Shelbyville.
It is the one that is, under Shelbyville Review 2025. Yeah.
That one?
No, the other one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
None of them say.
We'll hold that one, we'll get to that one
Yeah,
next.
that one's next, but there you go.
There we go, all right, thank you. Okay, so, all right, so this is we're gonna go through the numbers for the TV plan, ending for the quarter ending 9/30/2025. Okay, so, snapshot of financial activity on 1/1/25, you had 17,264,376. I put in $702,000 into the plan, I think in July, it's when early August when that went in. Paid out almost 700 million, and you have had an investment gain of over $800,000 on this plan year to date. That's through the end of September, September 30th, 2025. So your ending balance is over $18 million as of September 30th. That number, as we mentioned last time, is a number that was basically very close to what you need to be fully funded in this plan. So you're very close to being 100% funded in the DV plan. Any questions on those numbers? Questions? Okay. Okay, so here's the defensive moderate plan. Just a snapshot of how this plan has performed over the last 12 months. As you can see, it's averaged about 3.79% through the end of September. Stock market has done considerably better than that. But as you can see, there was a huge dip in April, and that was Trump's announcement about the tariffs. So that the market took a huge dive. And then, when he said they were going to negotiate, then it skyrocketed. So it was kind of maybe an overreaction. We're at an all-time high right now in the stock market. So some, analysts say that's not, that there could be a pullback. Of course, they're right about that, but they could be wrong too. So nobody, analysts are often wrong about, which Kyle knows that, right? They're often wrong about which way the stock market's going to go. So, and a lot of it could depend on geopolitical issues. We got several conflicts around the world going on. What Congress does with budgets, those kind of things. So we don't know. We had a little discussion last time about the performance of the fund. Just to let you know, I'm gonna just give you some returns. What this fund has done, over the last 5 or 6 years. In 2019, we had a 15% return on it annualized. 2020 had a 10% return. 2021, you had a 14% return on this fund. 2022, we had a downdraft of negative 16%. 2023 came back up to 9.28. 2024, we had a 9.04% return on this fund. And you need to make about a 5 or so return in order to stay fully funded. So we're beating, the marks that we need to beat. The purpose of the defensive moderate is not to beat the indexes. If you want to beat the indexes, this wouldn't have been the option you chose. You chose this one because it's got the circuit breakers in it, that when the market hit the downdraft like it did in April, they pulled you out of the market so you didn't take the big hit, and then they put you back in. So you're never going to see the big ups, but you're never going to see the big downs either. The purpose of this fund is to meet your financial obligations for the pensioners of the city of Shelbyville. That's what this fund is supposed to do. It's not here to beat indexes or, take risks that may produce some gigantic returns, but it's also taking more risk. You're not taking as much risk. There are portfolios. The defensive growth portfolio would have done about 5% better than this portfolio, but it doesn't have the circuit breakers on it. So going back to all the reasons that the pension committee chose this defensive moderate, when we started this, it's still doing what the goal, it's meeting the goals of the plan, and it's doing what you ask it to do. So that's the year-to-date returns on the defensive moderate plan. Any questions about that? Comments? Okay. I guess this is that's the quarterly return there on the defensive moderate versus the quarterly stock market 7.67, defensive moderate 3.66. Okay, so here's the annualized growth of your plan year to date. Again, 4.68 since the plan inception, June 30th, 2013, annualized return 6.02%, which is a little better than what you need in order to keep the plan fully funded. Just another slide, that's the same information on it. There's the investments right now, the quarter end allocation. You can see you're heavily invested in the bond. You're over 50% in the bond market. Fed just lowered interest rates last week. They announced QE, which means they're going to start buying treasuries, $40 billion of treasuries every month. All of that's very good for bond markets. So those things should probably help your portfolio do fairly well in the next quarters, in the next quarters to come. But that's the quarter end allocation as it stands, and that's still where it is today. Any questions on that? Any more questions, comments about the DB plan in general? Anything you want to ask, comment on, state an opinion? Okay, well, if we're done with DB, then I'm going to ask Josh to come up, and Kyle's going to try to make it home before dinner.
I have a question ready for you too, that's really hard. I'm just kidding.
Thank you, Kyle.
All right, if we could get the other PDF file, and Josh will go through that.
Good day, everyone. Good afternoon.
My name, as we're waiting for the presentation to be brought up, is Josh Griffith. I'm the relationship manager, which was once One America, who was your record keeper for the 401k plan. Now Voya, that happened at the start of last year. We're almost 1 year from the acquisition date. So, God, still after 25 years being with One America, it's hard to say Voya, that I'm with Voya. It's just kind of ingrained in there. If you want to jump, go ahead and jump. I guess I can. Let's see if I can figure out how to work this thing. I might come back to these here in a minute, but I just want to stay on. Oh. And this will be actually slide 15 that I'll not look at for the paper you got there. Why is this not formed up? This portion of it. You guys got paper copies though, right?
Yes.
All right. So I'm looking at slide 15 or page 15 of it, the key metrics of the 401k plan. So you've got two retirement plans, right? You've got your DB plan that's truly funded by the city of Shelbyville. Then you've got the second portion of employee benefits that are the 401k plan that we'll see where individual employees have the ability to put some of their own money away for retirement, as well as a very lucrative employer contribution provided by the city of Shelbyville to help them to get to a place when they wake up in the morning, they can decide what they want to do, right? So very unique in the marketplace to see 401k plans with an employer contribution, as well as having a DB plan too. So I know not all the time do people realize the benefits that they have, but what you all do provide to the employees of the city of Shelbyville is very beneficial. Okay, so know that. And there's some numbers behind the scenes that we'll say here. So really what I wanted to say is, to start out with, as of the close of the market Friday, the 401k plan had just over 12,100,000 in it. So 12,103,465 was the total asset. So for all the participants in the account, active or terminated, mostly active, that was the total account value as of the close of the market on Friday. Okay. Now, if we look up here on the chart we have here, we're gonna have two sets of numbers, one ending of Q3 of 2025 and the end of Q3 2024, so we can have comparative numbers to see if we've seen any uptick in contributions, distributions, et cetera. And if so, why may they be? That might trigger some questions for me to ask you guys. But I'm gonna start over here on the right-hand side just to look at the 12-month cash flow. So contributions coming into the plan, and this goes from 10/1 of 2024 to 9/30 of 2025. You had just shy of 530,000 coming in contributions, and that could be both pre-tax, Roth, or anyone that rolled money over from a prior qualified retirement plan. If you drop down to the next line item there, employer contributions. This is a number that I was alluding to a few minutes ago. But not only do you have the defined benefit plan that you provide your benefit to, you also provide an employer contribution to your employees, which for this last 12-month window of nearly 585,000. Okay, so great benefit there. Distributions, however, there's some good and there's some bad in there, right? And this isn't necessarily bad, and I'll allude to, you have an older demographic in your retirement plan, which means is the goal of a retirement plan is what? To get to the point, at some point you can retire and take money out of the plan, right? So you've got a little bit of that in there, okay? But I do have some numbers as far as the distributions go. There were a total of 19 distributions that equated to that amount, the 521,000. 42% of those contributions are in-service withdrawals. Okay, so those are employees that are still working, that has taken some type of distribution, whether that be a hardship, an in-service withdrawal, etc. Okay. We also had 58%. It's almost nearly a 50-50 split, right? When we look at that overall, or voluntary terms, or they were turned by the city. Okay. They decided to terminate for whatever reason. So it's almost a 50-50 split on terminations. Okay. If we look back at the contributions, one of the unique things I think you'll find there is 35% of the contributions that were coming into the plan were done on a pre-tax basis. Okay, you have two different buckets of money, if you will, or actually three. The other, there were 10% in Roth contributions. Okay, so those are after-tax contributions. So an employee does have the option to choose either to do pre-tax contributions or after-tax contributions, or a combination thereof. Okay, they just have the IRS limit that they can put up to. Okay, so they got flexibility there. There were 3% of that money that came in there for the contributions that were from rollovers. So they do have the flexibility to take qualified money that they may have at another employer and move it over into the plan as well. Because the last thing we want to have happen is this young lady here leaves a company, takes her money out of her account, and then she's under the age of 59 and a half, right? And then on top of that, there's an early withdrawal penalty. So your all's plan allows individuals, if they were to be employed by the city of Shelbyville, to automatically roll their monies over so they don't have those penalties, depending on their age.
Okay.
So again, flexibility, right? For those employees, that makes it attractive, not only from what you all put in from an employer standpoint, but to get into the plan as well. That's why I wanted to make those points. Okay. Let's see here. And then we had, 52% of the money coming into the plan is the employer contribution. that's going into it from you guys. So not only do you have the defined benefit plan, which is fully funded by you as the city, but even on the 401k side, the subset bucket of money considered employer is, what did I just say, 52%. So if I'm in your guys' issues, and I know you don't necessarily do the hiring per se, that is significant benefit for those individuals for employment and traction, if you will, right? Now there are golden handcuffs on it, vesting, etc. But those are nice benefits to the plan. I think you guys should highlight those as or as frequently as you can. Now, I will also tell you, I've been doing this long enough too, that it may not matter to some people nonetheless, right? You can tout all these great things that your plan offers, but it still doesn't always get them to contribute to the plan. But nonetheless, they still potentially have the DB plan and get the employer contribution on the 401k side, even if they do not contribute their own money. Okay? If we continue through with the employee or the 12-month cash flows, we had just shy of 529,000, employer contributions of just over 584, distributions just over 521, earnings. Okay, one of the services that you all utilize other than Voya now, or One America, as a record keeper in the choice of investments that you have, you also have a service called Artesis, which is a managed money option, and retirement track target date funds, risk-based target date funds. So I wanted to tell, as choppy as the market has been, there have been earnings on the retirement plan of just over $1.2 million from the monies that are invested in that. Whether that be the Roth contributions, pre-tax, employer contributions, etc. So that's certainly a win there, especially with the choppiness that we've seen in the market. Some of the benefits that I try to tout is, and we'll go over this a little bit more on the investment side of things, but Mr. Feldhouse, I know you mentioned this the last time that we were in here. There's something about that choppiness in the market that can be very good for participants in there, right? Because sometimes when the market goes down, the value of the stock is doing what? Going down. But your employees are buying in on a payroll basis to their retirement account. So they're buying more of that particular investment. So when that market turns back around, they've got more to go up when the market does. That's what we call in the marketplace dollar cost averaging. Okay, so that's certainly a benefit. And I'll take it one step further too, because the target date funds as well, we run into some people that may have never saved before at all. They may come to the city of Shelbyville and say, I've never contributed, I've never saved, but I'm behind the 8 ball. Should I do it? Should I not do it, etc. Now, these target date funds give them the benefit to say, maybe I'm nearly 50 now, 15 years from now, and I'm using myself as an example, I've never saved. I have 15 years till I hit age 65, and let's say that's the quote, quote, the magic date of retirement, right? That's 15 years from now. What year are we in? 2025? That's the year 2040. Well, that individual can choose that 2040 target date fund, but because they've never saved, one of the things we did several years ago was add target date funds that are risk-based as well. So not only do they have their, what we'll call the default or the moderate, but if they're behind, they can be a little bit more aggressive with that same objective of target date funds. So it's not quite the off-the-shelf target date funds that you may find with other vendors. So that's been really helpful for some individuals. And that could be on the flip side as well, where they've got lucky they hit the lottery. They don't need to be aggressive in their account. They're just living off what they got. They can be conservative in that same allocation. But the reality is your participants, whether they want to do it themselves, they have an opportunity to do so, have put together a diversified allocation. As you'll see in a minute, no one does that, right? Because normally when I go into retirement plan meetings, when I used to do that, I said, how many of y'all are investment professionals? Anybody right there? No? No one raises their hand, right? But that's why we put these type of investment options, because you're either doing it yourself, which no one wants to do. You're doing a target date fund, where you can be more aggressive, more conservative, just go with the moderate run.
Yeah.
Or you can actually hand the steering wheel over, like what you have on the DB plan, and use Artesis where they can pull you out of the market. You can choose different levels of risk, and they can manage that for you too. So do it for me, do it with me, or I'll do it myself. So your employees have all three of those options, which I think is a win. Okay. Let's see here. It's good to have a nice market there when you make 1.2 million as well. Now going back over to the left side of the page, just looking at where we are, where we were. As I mentioned earlier, we're at 12.1 million in the 401k plan versus even as of 9/30, which we were at just shy of 12 million. So we're still growing up and to the right. Active participant headcount barely changed, right, for the number of employees you have. I use that a lot if there's a big amount of terminations. I may ask them, is there a particular reason within the organization or the city of why you're having a pretty steep decline in participants? There may be a rhyme or reason, education, maybe some businesses sell off particular divisions, etc. So that's why I like to highlight there, just to see if there's anything that stands out on the page that you all may be able to help us out to knowing if there's something going on within the city. Okay, then we got the terminated participant counts. Again, not a whole lot of different from where we are now versus where we were. Okay. And one of those things that may go along with that is what we call mandatory cash out. Now, Kyle, they typically would handle the mandatory cash out. So what you want to do from an organization is be able, and I say this nicely, right, because this can come across as maybe not so nice, but the smaller balances in our plan that are considered 7,000 or less, right? From a pricing standpoint, from an administration standpoint, etc., that threshold has went up from what was 5,000 to 7,000. So it's a good way to keep your plan clean and healthy, if you will, because if that participant leaves, you get smaller balances, you change investment options, for example, right? What has to be done? You have to send out notices, right? You got to send out DOL regulation requirements, etc. So those things help keep your plan as clean as possible, right? And then also it's a little bit hard to track people after they've been gone 3 or 4 or 5 years, right? So I think that's an important reason I reference that as well. Participation rate for the plan bumped up 5% from where we were a year ago, from 65 to 70% participation, which is certainly right in the, we'll call it the wheelhouse of what we see, just a general average out in the marketplace. But still, as valuable as your employer contributions are, even though it's not quote unquote a match, so to speak, I think we can get that up a little bit, right? Because if you're putting in 5 or Greg, what is it? 7%, you're putting in 7 just to act like it's a match. That's 14% of your income that you have. And if you come in as a 21-year-old, put 14% to get the employer contribution, you're putting that in, boy, 40-some years of tax-deferred growth or even Roth growth payout, that could be a big sum of money. Councilman over there and I were talking about that just earlier within our accounts and his son account, etc. So, average account balance for the plan is bumped up a little bit, almost 10K on average, from 51.5 to 60,000. Okay, as well as, and this is what I love seeing more than anything, are those 100% numbers there. Everybody, other than I rounded up on these two numbers, but everyone is either in one of the target date funds or a managed money option. Right? So they're adhering to what I would presume would be a lot of what Greg is talking to them about when they're being onboarded, about the benefit of having someone do it for you or with you versus yourself, because you've got children, you've got a lot of other things going on in life, and you're not wanting to try to keep up with what the market's doing. Put me somewhere where I can know I can get some growth, but have comfort level. And boy, having 100% ultimately of your employees in those type of options is a phenomenal number. Questions, comments, concerns? All right, the next slide, or not next slide, there should be, do you have the headphones pulled up by chance? There's, Greg, do you know what the name of the Mesro one was at the end of options?
Let me ask you a question.
Fire away.
In the, average account balance, are you saying 60,000 is the average account balance for all of our employees?
For active, and then
Yeah.
there's one for terminated.
A little low compared to where I've been. Yeah. Is that just because of the investment that they're making, or?
Could be that, could be some of them are contributing way more than others and just averaging out, right? It comes down.
Yeah.
So,
Did I mistakenly hear on distributions, when you were doing the distribution number of 521,000? Did you say that what the in-service number was? What was that again?
in-service number made up 42% of the distributions.
Oh, 42%.
Right.
That's a lot
Right.
of hardships, isn't it? Is that a lot of hardships?
In-service withdrawals, hardships, yes.
Right. 200,000.
Mm-hmm.
There were a total of 19 distributions
Okay.
that made up that. And then there were 58% of voluntary or you guys firing someone. And if you would like, I can send you a spreadsheet of those, the details of it, but. Any other questions, comments, concerns? So I think in closing, two points I will have. One of the things when you came to One America, the goals to the plan were, one, help us out on getting our funding for our defined benefit plan to a right place, a good place, right? That was one. The other was participation increase from where we were. And two, as part of that was, Greg, do you remember when the plan came over to us, how much money was in the fixed interest or stable value account, or as a percentage even?
It was at least 30%, maybe 40, yeah.
Okay, so, and what was our inflation rate earlier in the year, up to 9%?
Well, officially 2.9%.
Well, but I'm just saying at the peak, what was inflation?
This, last year,
Yeah,
uh,
I think it was around, it got as high as 9% inflation. Okay? So that's up there, right? Some of the highest rates inflation have been. And being able to get the returns to help out on that makes a big difference. And your plan certainly allowed for that opportunity for those employees to do it, which is also part of the reason if you're receiving 2%, 2.25%, 2.5% interest rate or crediting rate on a savings account, a crediting rate, inflation's that high, the purchasing power of your dollar is minimal, right? So there was a big shift and a big drive when the plan came to One America to help people shift out of just being in what we'll call a savings account for times when we had a really high inflationary environment, which we're starting to come out of now, and move them out and get them into the market. Anything else?
I think that can you talk about the roles of Voya a little bit?
Sure. So, as I mentioned in our last meeting, as the start of 2025, One America, who I was with for 25 years, was acquired by Voya Financial. And so that transition is happening. You guys are scheduled, whether you as a participant or your participants are to migrate over from the One America platform or chassis in the fourth quarter, which would be April of 2026. So we still have some time before that happens. We'll provide specific dates and we'll be mailing letters to your participants so they are notified of that change and when specifically in April that migration will happen. And probably one of the biggest things I've touted about that migration process is because we were on a system called Omni. Okay, that was kind of the platform that the assets, the plan set on. Voya has the same chassis, if you will. So over a weekend, we will be able to market closes on Friday at 3:00 here Central, right? Saturday, Sunday, we're going to take the money out of the accounts. What was in pre-tax, what was in Roth, what was employer, all of that data, and we're going to map it automatically over to the Voya chassis. So we're going to use the same investments that are currently in place now. So whether you're in one of those risk-based target date funds, the models, or you did it yourself, that will go over automatically for you, for those that are in the room that have an account balance, okay? Or anyone that may not be doing anything, but still has some money in there. So that'll happen over a weekend. So all of a sudden the market tanks and then they don't have a way to get out of it, right? So we're able to do that over the weekend. Just a couple of notes here. So Voya 2 is a top record keeper for retirement plans. Top 5, okay? I think we set right at 3. Over 7 million participants we have on the record keeping system. So I think those are 2 big numbers. It's not their first rodeo is what I'm trying to get at, right? This is what they do. They bought One America. We're also able to continue using your existing service agreements, right? So from especially HR, back office management who signs things, those existing things will be in place and stay the same. Same investment lineup. We're able to preserve the history of the plan. So the migration itself, what I'm trying to lean into is the fact it should be fairly seamless, right? So I've had one wave go through, fairly quiet, no issues, other than maybe a phone number might not have shown up somewhere. So it should be fairly, but we'll continue to provide information and to your participants as we get closer to that April date with the specifics. And then so the only thing a participant will have to do, which may be a challenge for some, this would be me too, I had to do this with my own account, setting up a new user ID and password, right? It won't carry over from One America for security purposes. Any other questions?
Josh, what I would emphasize is the size of Voya 7 million, that's almost 2/3 the size of the state of Tennessee population, so they're huge. And that, with that comes the potential, you know, to drive down the cost of fees on the plan. They've got more services, more tools they offer on their website for the employees that I think your employees will find really helpful. And looking forward, I think, do you think February would be a good date to come in and go through all of that, talk about the transition and also the new options that may come with Voya that you.
Yeah, we can certainly do that.
The enhancements that we can, you know, offer. And maybe look at, I know one of the things that some of the employees have asked for is a gold option, you know, some way to invest in gold. You know, that would certainly be something we could talk about, you know, adding, gold has been one of the top investments of 2025 so far. So, you know, so getting a lot of buzz and there's reasons for it. The inflation that we talked about last time is one of the big reasons for that. So,
Yeah, we'll certainly have a wider breadth, if you will, of investment options to choose from. And I think some legislation processes before too long. I won't get into the weeds too much, but I think some legislation is going to pass here in the near term where you'll have some options of what are called CITs, or collective investment trusts, which is if you have fund ABC, right? It's a version of Fund ABC, but at a lower cost structure, just because of how it's regulated and whatnot. So I think there may be some other ways to skinny up the overall cost structure of the plan, but still keep the value of the investments that you have in place currently.
right, so I would say maybe looking towards sometime in early February, Lisa, to get this committee meeting, get back together and we can go through all that with.
Would you be able to do the fourth quarter reports at that time? Would you do that?
Absolutely.
Middle of February?
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely.
Those are the comments that I wanted to highlight today. Was there any other questions? Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, do we have any other business that we're supposed to take care of today?
Not
Lisa?
aware, I'm not aware of anything else. See if I have any other questions or.
All right, then if we don't have any other business, let's adjourn. Thank you for coming.